What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? I am super excited to get with you guys tonight because I have a guest here that I look up to as a father figure to me in the business space. Also a personal friend that we get to introduce tonight. But before we introduce him, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsors. Real quick, we got Cali Bell Graphics to get all your shirts and all of your signs and whatever that you want to get done. Go to Kelly Bell Graphics to get all that done, including these cool hats and these cool polos, and let them know that the Sports Lounge sent you. Next, you're going to want to go to number one sports fan. Guys, it's football season. It's time to go get your memorabilia, your hats, your wallets. Go get your real team. The real team you want to get is the Philadelphia Eagles. Go get your jerseys. Go get your stuff. That's where you're gonna want to go get a number one sports fan. But go tell them that the Sports Lounge sent you. Last but not least, our proud sponsor right here, Black and P Living Water, where you can get your humic and fulvic minerals, 77 essential minerals, alkaline to the pH channel with recurrent electrolytes, endorsed by the NFL alumni, and it's medically certified. But you can get that on www.blackandp.com. Go get your concentrate today. And when you do, you want to type in the Sports Lounge to get 35% off. Again, go to www.blackandp.com. Go get hydrated today, guys.
Hey everyone, so again we want to welcome you, and for our special guest we have here tonight, Exeter native, former NFL tight end, and current entrepreneur. I mean, man, I don't even know what to say, but we have Mr. Darren Long Sr. So Darren, we want to welcome you onto the show here, and hey, tell us real quick about yourself.
Well, I'm like I said, Exeter native, and I spent a lot of time there getting ready to go to where I wanted to go, and it was the perfect place. There was, mountains and hills. I used to run all the time. I used to work out. The environment was awesome. I currently live in Visalia now. I'm down here usually in Pasadena. I meet with Dr. a bunch of scientists on every week, and I'm just really enjoying helping people because I help myself and my family with this great product, and it's the only one that's ever been certified by physicians and recommended by doctors and pharmacists. So I'm just jazzed how I'm seeing people. That's my whole goal, is to watch and see people that have health issues or athletes that need to be safe and hydrated. That's my purpose now, and I'm really enjoying it.
Man, I like to hear it. Hey, so briefly, we're going to hop right into these questions. And one of the biggest things, obviously, you spent time, you played both in the USFL for the Los Angeles Express, and then you also played for the Los Angeles Rams. You after spending some time, I remember you went to COS, correct?
That's right.
And then ended up finishing off your college career at Long Beach State.
Yep. I'll tell you a little story behind that. You'll get a kick out of it.
All right. So my question is, being from a small town of Exeter, who was your biggest influence coming out of Exeter playing football?
Well, playing football, to keep continuing, it would have been probably Ray Strable. I love the guy. He always called me Cupcake, which he did that to jab me, so I get very upset and hit harder. Fine. I had a great Pop Warner coach, Gene Ferguson. Almost every coach I've had great influence, but the one that really had the greatest influence in my life was Al Branco and Seastrom at COS, because I was recruited all over out of high school to go play at major college. I was actually going to sign with Colorado University, and when they were there to sign the letter of intent for the second time, I wouldn't sign it the first, but the second one, I just decided right then. I said, you know what, I'm going to go to COS. And I love Al Branco because he came over several times to Exeter, and he never tried to recruit me. He says, I know you're going to a 4-year college, but if something doesn't work out, would you please call me before you make another move? I say, yeah, sure, coach. And after that deal, I actually called him and I said, hey, Coach Branco, it's Darren Long, and hey, man, I'm going to come play football with you. Dead silence. I mean, for 10 seconds, I even said, Coach, you there? Coach, you hear the thing? So I'm not going to tell you exactly what he said, but he goes, are you messing with me, Darren? I go, no, over there. But anyway, I got to play 2 years of wide receiver there. I was a wide receiver. I was at 210 pounds as a wide receiver. And a coach I'd never even talked to for 2 years was Coach Seastrom. He was the line coach for the COS Giants. And after my last game there, he came up to me. He goes, hey, I'm going to tell you something. You know, I coached in the NFL, and I've seen a lot of ball players. But I want to tell you, he goes, if you learn to be a tight end, you will play in the NFL. Well, I took that to heart, and after COS, I was getting all these recruits all over the country to play tight end. There's only one university would take me, and that was Long Beach State as a tight end, and that's where I learned tight end. I got the red shirt a year. I had some really good people, and then I ended up going in the LA Express, which I loved, and I got great quarterbacks. You know, Frank Sire, who ended up being at Kansas City, and then of course you guys all know Steve Young, and one of the greatest scramblers. This guy is one of the greatest athletes I have ever seen when it comes. I mean, when he runs scared, you're not catching him. You're not going to tackle him. That's Steve Young, and you could see it even when he played for San Francisco, but. Yeah, I had some great times doing that. The Los Angeles Rams, that was tough. I really enjoyed that. I loved Coach Robinson, the whole crew there.
Nice.
Terry,
I'm going to ask you real quick. So, Terry, go for it.
Okay. Well, Darren, it's nice to meet you. I've actually never had the pleasure of meeting you myself face to face here. But I'm going to take you down memory lane a little bit here and take you back to those old Exeter days again, like we were just talking. You may or may not recognize my name, but my family knows you pretty well. My uncles, my parents, some of my older cousins and stuff. If you remember the Petty Johns or the Kaufmans from back in the day.
Oh yeah.
That's my bloodline there. So a quick shout out to them. They're all watching tonight. All the Petty John clan.
Doyle Petty John?
Yeah, yes, sir. And Randy and Dennis and Debbie and Eva. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
to look up to him, I mean, going to Wilson Schools in first grade, that guy was tough. And I used to just say, yeah, I like to be like that dude. He was tough. He was the toughest kid in the school. But I know the Petty John's great.
So word has it you played baseball and football. Oh, I'm getting a little feedback from my audio here. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, do you remember playing with a gentleman named Alex Torres years ago?
My buddy, yeah.
Another cousin of mine that from my dad's side of the family. So you're welcome here on the show. You got good. You're in good hands. You got a lot of family and old friends watching you. I just want to welcome you myself to the show. But I want to correct Mr. Crandall and Mikey over there. And this is a word that nobody that our age uses anymore. Speaking of the four of us here on the show, that they used in your time, which was U-back. You were a U-back in professional football. Is that correct?
Well, it's called a nickelback. It was Sid Gilman's offense. I don't know. Look him up. I mean, this guy was the creator of the offense even when he was younger. And then he created what they call the nickelback. It's kind of like a U-back, but it's a little different, strategy. It's on the backfield. And Sid created that to beat the Dallas dime defense. And that's where I learned, and he taught me everything. I loved it. And that's one of the biggest reasons I got picked up by the Rams is they were going to that new offense in 1986, and then I just jumped right in there, and of course I broke my hand, but I kept playing, and that's why they kept around. People that got injured stood on the sidelines, and I just said, you know what, nothing's stopping me, and I just kept going with it with a broken hand, and then they ended up putting me on injury reserve a little bit, and then they activated me, and then the rest of it's history.
Well, that's something else we forget about a lot of the guys that have gone through Exeter over the years, and we're glad to have you on the show. We just had another Exeter alum on here a couple weeks ago, and that's all I had tonight was just to bring back some old memories for you there, and I'll pass it on off to the other guys. But welcome to the show. Great to have you, and great to meet you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for jarring my memory. I love thinking that. That was great. Great.
Hey Darren, when you were playing for the Rams, you spoke a little bit about playing behind Eric Dickerson. How was that experience playing against a legend like that?
Oh, I loved Eric. Eric is a great guy. I'm the one, a lot of times on the third downs, that's when I came in, and Eric or Barry Redden was there on the side. So they were, we had our first, of course, as a back, and then as a nickel back, when I'm in the backfield on the third down, is make sure that I pick up a blitz, or Eric does. And then if nobody comes and we're out into that route, and we better get that first down, or we get chewed out. So I've always got the first down, so I never got chewed out. I'm good.
Yeah.
Hey, so you talked about. I want to actually go back a little bit. You were talking about the recruiting process. So obviously, you said went to COS. Later on, ended up signing with Long Beach State at tight end. You were actually the top receiving tight end in 1982. You finished second that year with one less reception to actually have the receiving record in 1982 in college. But my question is, what was the recruiting process back in the day?
Well, it was very, very odd. I got picked up. That was 62. So I did break the national record for reception, and then later on, Gordon Hudson, I think, ended up breaking it by one. So that was the year, and then I got invited to go to the East-West Shrine game. Had about 10,000 NFL scouts there, and from there, everybody was, we got to do this, go to Combine, go to do this. And I even before the draft, I actually had the Dallas Cowboy. They had a guy in there that wanted to get me before the draft and took me to a hotel and tried to get me to sign. And I had an agent at William Morris Agency who was executive vice president, Ron Nolte. And man, I'll tell you what, they were great. I was their first athlete they've ever had. I don't know if you guys are familiar with William Morris Agency. That's the largest entertainment agency in the world. They're in London, Hollywood, and they wanted a new guy to start their career as going into the athletic entertainment as well. So they actually represented me for no charge, and they wined and dined me. I had Dick Sackett and all these other guys, but I just really enjoyed these guys. Got to meet some really neat stars, and after that, what happened was then I was contacted by Atlanta Falcons and said, well, we want to draft you in the 5th or 6th round. I said, I don't want to go to Atlanta because I have a hard time with it anyway. But I got picked up by Green Bay and got a nice signing bonus, went over there, got a beautiful belt. That's all I got from him. And then I spent my whole time there fighting with James Lofton and ended up.
Oh, wow.
I did not like him. I heard he's a good guy now, but he had to be back then. But ended up, I had territorial rights with the LA Express, and I knew they were recruiting Steve Young too, and I knew Frank Sire was there. I go, man, I'd love to go play there because the only time when I was in Green Bay, all through camp, I could hardly practice because this is a California kid going into one of the hottest and humid places on the planet, and I could never go. I mean, I was taking these ugly salt pills, making you sick all day long. Never did anything. I couldn't even play. It was so humid all the time that I just cramp. But anyway, so I got out, got to keep the bonus, and ended up at the LA Express. And then from there, after the league folded in '87, after '87, then that's when I got picked up with the Rams.
Hey, Darren, real quick, how is it different? How is the recruiting process for the young kids that are going to be watching this? How is it so much different back then than it is now? I know it seems that it's probably more competitive now than it was last year, but how was it? Is there anything that you could probably give advice to? Because you were a coach too, for a little while. So what would be the advice to those kids, and how was that process different from than it is now?
Well, right now the difference is, we got to play 3 sports. Man, I wrestled and played football and baseball. right now it's a totally different animal because one sport now. Everybody that's a year-round sport, which I don't know how these kids don't get burnt out on it. I could never have that growing up from kids to high school. I could never do that. But they train these, and you're seeing now that these kids, they're breaking records. They're all kinds of records. In the 40, the 100 that we never seen before because that's all they do in that deal. So the recruiting is a lot different now but back then because they would send out, they look at their films and everything. Now it's a whole, they have these different people that train these kids. They send out all these different, hey, take a look at this kid, take a look at this kid. It's totally different, but better than when I played because now they can see everything is a lot more clear and everything is easy to access. Back then, we get on the phone and talk face to face. Back then, it was go to the phone booth or dial your rotary phone to get a hold of somebody.
All right.
Yeah.
Darren, we've talked about that on the show before about the whole aspect of the kids getting burned out and how unfortunate that is. Because everybody on this show is when we played sports, you played 2 or 3 sports and they don't give the kids that opportunity anymore. It's if you want to play baseball, you're going to play baseball and you're going to have to play it year round, or you're going to have to focus on one. And only the extremely, extremely talented guys can play more than one sport anymore because they're just so they have their God-given talent. But if anybody has any work to put in, like you say, they got to play one sport year round, and that's something for another show. But we've talked about it on here before, how unfortunate that is to the young athletes coming up.
And all I can say to athletes, that are going, whether it's baseball, basketball, wrestling, or football, focus on it. I just tell everybody, even in wrestling, because I coach wrestling, coach football, and you got to get it. A lot of people want to do the spring thing, and I'm going to take steroids. You don't need steroids. The truth is, speed kills. Speed is the thing, and even that was my best. I would say that got people attention because I was quick. I always wanted, that's why I ran hills. I sprinted up hills to get that sprint out. And talk about Eric Dickerson. I used to race him all the time. That guy could not beat me for 10 yards, but after 10 yards, he was like gone, like lightning. But it's because it's nice. I always tell kids, if you're, especially if you're an elite athlete, don't think you're going to stop. Now, if you're an elite athlete, now it's really time to work, and you work it hard. And I always tell people the magic is running hills, sprinting up hills. That's your magic. It makes you tough. It makes your muscles. It makes you quick. So any sport, it doesn't matter what sport it is, sprint up Rocky Hill. I was outside of Exeter, straight up dirt roads. I used to love doing
that hill. I used to hate that hill during track.
When's the last time you ran up that hill, Darren?
Well, I wish I could say yesterday. It's been about 30
See, that's the great thing. You guys were mentioning, obviously playing multi-sports. I was a one-sport athlete. That's all I played. I played baseball all year long. And I always say people, you had talked about it, Darren. You said you raced against Eric Dickerson. All you had to do was worry about running 10 yards. Mm-hmm. And we actually talked about it on the show, and I had made a comment before, and I said, all I got to worry about playing baseball, I got to run 90 feet. That's all I got to worry about. If I wasn't fast on the first 90, forget it. As long as the ball hit the fence or went over the fence. Once I hit the homer, all I had to do was jog. I could care less about running fast. Other than that, just give me 90 feet. That's all it was.
You're walking after that.
Exactly. That's all I cared about. All I got to do is get that first 90. But yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize is those short sprints. Some people try to say, man, you got to be able to run long distance. I have no problem saying I am not a long distance runner. Terry and I used to laugh because I am not a little man by whatsoever. I'm 5'10", but I'm 260 pounds now. But even he and I,
Wow.
I even, but this is no joke. People used to laugh because Terry would laugh. We would play in these, like these slow pitch softball leagues just for fun. And Terry was the one that was actually always running the team. He was always the manager, but I was always the number one hitter. I always hit leadoff. And everyone's like, why the heck is the biggest dude on the team hit leadoff? Because all I cared about was hitting that 90 feet. And of course, in softball, you had to worry about was running 60 feet. That made it even better. And he'd sit there. Everyone, of course, is like, "Hey, I got to hit back up," and I'm like, "I'm hitting the ball short. I'm running. I'm getting a double." And they're just like, "What the heck?" And so it was about having the initial burst, but after that, once I hit second, I was like, "I'm dog tired. I'm done. I need to go around the lineup again so I can take a break." But those short sprints, I think that really is for any sport. That is one of the biggest thing that matters.
Yep. The games are only played in short stints. Now, if you want to get a ball and you take off running, somebody's probably going to catch you from behind.
Yep.
But you know, if you get the first down, I'm talking about football, of course. That's all that matters to any coach. You want to keep going, even if they get it. So that was for me. That was my attitude was, hey, 10 yards. I'm going to be the quickest on the team in 10 yards, and I worked hard, got there, and that's what got everybody's attention in the NFL. They're going, hey, and when I was playing in the NFL, it's 250 pounds, and I'm out there doing, beating guys for the first 10 yards that are, 190, 180 world-class sprinters. It's all in our deal, and that's what you got to focus on, especially football. Basketball's a little different. Wrestling's a whole different story. But I always tell them, run Rocky Hill, and you'll be the toughest wrestler on the mat, and I guarantee you are.
Yeah, what's interesting? I'm glad that you brought that up too, because we're going into the NFL season. Obviously, the Bears and the Texans play. That game was canceled due to rain conditions, but we're going into the NFL season, and I've been watching a lot of TikTok on Tyreek Hill and I Show Speed. And I Show Speed is just an influencer who goes live all the time, but he's one of the fastest guys in the world. And he went to the Miami Dolphins camp to go race Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek was giving little tips on the wide receiver routes, and they're like, how are you so good and how do you get open? And he goes, because I only worry about the first 5 to 10 yards. If I could beat my man in the first 5 or 10, I got him all the way down on the long shots. And then you kind of look at our game now, right? Our game is kind of shifting to where there's a lot more check downs, where there's a lot more, you see the Niners doing it with Brock Purdy. You start seeing a lot more other teams start doing a lot more of those check down time situations, and getting out left and right and just beating the linebacker. Once you get past the linebacker, it seems like you're home free almost, and so it's very interesting that the game hasn't shifted back to that kind of like that 5 to 10 yards. Like you have to have elite linebackers and elite DNs, defensive ends. Those guys are not the big guys anymore. They're not 310 pounds no more. If you're looking at like Hassan Reddick and you're looking at Micah Parsons, those guys are a lot smaller, but they're a lot quicker because they have to get out faster. So it's just very interesting that you mentioned that first and 5-10 yards. So those who are watching, even Darren back in the day would tell you, 5 or 10 yards is that important as it is today.
Yep.
Darren, who was aside from Eric Dickerson, who was we all have our favorite players of all time, the guys that we watch, playing today that are the guys that give us that wow factor. Who back then was the guy that you played against or with? It was just the guy that you were in awe of when you got into the league.
Well, I would say that David Hill, he was the number one tight end at the time, and he really kind of mentored me into versus even guys that were there, and we ended up being really good friends. And he had a big influence on showing me certain key blocks, because that's that learning coming from a wide receiver to that and learning in such a short time, and it made all the difference in the world. And then I was always called out on double tight with David, and so I would say he would have been the biggest influence for the rank. I love Dave Hill. I mean, I got more stories of that guy. But he was just a gem, and he was the best blocker in the NFL. I mean, every year he's a Pro Bowl, and I just wish he could catch, but he had a hard time catching. But great. We're kind of
he's your biggest rival as far as like
concentrate on the ball.
Yeah.
What was that, Dupree?
I said, would you say he's your biggest rival on blocking you, or like who was your biggest rival blocking you when it came to being tight end?
The toughest one I think I ever had was, you probably know him on the Giants, right? Do I need to say his name? Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, wow.
Oh my
Wow,
God!
there we go.
Yeah, boy.
But you know what? You when they're that like that, you just got to tie up with them and let them try to get rid of you. And you don't let them get rid of you. You can block them, but once in a while he can throw you. The guy was tough.
For sure. We've seen the highlights.
Nothing
Yeah.
like. And I
Mark,
got to Ronnie Lott. Now Ronnie Lott and I in the conference in '86, I got in 2 fights with him. He was a very aggressive guy. I liked Ronnie Lott. He was a great guy. I got kicked out from the second one, but I would say those 2 are my biggest rivals: is Ronnie Lott and Lawrence Taylor.
All right. Hey,
Mark?
let's finish up with this question right here. How did football impact your life now?
It actually it destroyed it for a long time. I'm doing better now, but you know, NFL, and I mean, we could spend here hours on what you should do. I wish I would have done back. I wish I'd have known of things back then, but it really robs things out of your body. I mean, minerals. You're always dehydrated, and it takes a toll on your body. I mean, when I was 45, I didn't even really want to live anymore. It was so bad. Aches, felt like I had the flu every day. So, you know, football's just tough. I'm going to tell you, it is a tough sport. And if you're going to play, and I'd still do it all over again because I love the game. I'd do it over again. And there's people that are sick. They don't live as long. They've got problems from football. You ask every one of them will say, yeah, I'd still do it again. So it does take a toll on your body, no question.
All right.
what things did you do to change that? What things that you're talking about to get yourself right? Like, what are some things that, obviously those are the things that you would have implemented if you did it all over again? What are those things?
Well, the first thing is, because I was pretty screwed up for a while, and just learning some things that I did in college and in my biochemistry class, I came up with a product which you guys know now. It's called Black MP, and I know because doing a lot of studies, if you sweat over years and years and years, all these minerals come out of your body, and you can't get it in food anymore. You can't get it anywhere because soils are sick, and when you have sick soil, you got sick people. That's the bottom line. And when I started putting these minerals and bacteria, which are probiotics, good bacteria back in my body, I slowly recovered. But I mean, 6 to 8 months later, I felt like a new person. And that was years ago. And now that was 45. I'm 65 years old now. And I can't believe how good I feel every day, energy every day, because I replaced a lot of stuff that screwed me up over the years. And I'm going to tell you what they're putting in food and water now. You got to be careful to put it in your body, especially athletes, because you're not going to last very long if you're eating bioengineered foods and you're
Right.
a lot of these things. No telling what's in it, but you can. All these waters they put out just irritates the heck out of me because they only have 3 minerals. There's nothing to it. And I keep trying to say you got to have. Even the USDA says you have to have 60 minerals, which I know it's more than that, but they're even saying it's 60 minerals plus to be healthy. Yet we can't even get 2 or 3 minerals barely in a bottle of water. Baby formula has 9 minerals in it. I mean, what are they trying to do to us? So
Yeah.
I'm telling people, you need to watch what's going on.
Yeah, they got more minerals in dog food than they do in.
Dog food's 48 minerals. Hamster food's 28 minerals. But baby formula 9 minerals. What's going on? In the USDA,
It's crazy.
60. So that's what I'm pretty irritated with what's going on with these big corporations and the food. I mean, you guys are starting. I'm so happy social media came out where you could actually hear people that seed oils, how it's destroying your life, what they're adding to all these foods and these preservatives and stuff, and washing your clothes and paraffins and all the stuff they got in it. We got to start waking up, because if we don't, we're going to live a short life. And I'm already seeing it. You're seeing all the people, my parents and before them, they're living 85 to 95. Some of my aunt's 99, her husband's 99 too, and they're going to make it into 100. But they were eating good back then. How come nobody's lasting over 70 anymore? This is scary stuff right now. And I think I want to alert people. It's not just what you need to take; it's what you better not take. And if you want to stay healthy and feel good all the time, you can eat and eat and eat. What you guys, you can ask almost anybody after they eat. They're still hungry. There's a reason for that. And maybe on the next show I'll explain a lot of it. Wake people up and be careful what you're putting in your body.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we just had our first commercial for Black and Pea Living Water there, Mikey. That was excellent, man. We need to edit that and put that out there, man. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Hey, so we're gonna wrap it up on that, Darren. You know, we like I said, we try to keep it here around 30 minutes, but I just want to tell you thank you for the opportunity to come on the show. We definitely look forward to having you back on, because we'll actually have the opportunity to talk a lot more about Black MP. So this way we can help educate people also, you know, here at the Sports Lounge. We appreciate the sponsorship that you guys give towards us. That's one of the big things that we want to do, and it's just about giving recognition. I personally have taken it, have drank it. I've got plenty of it. You know, just everything that you're doing, trying to educate, because that's our biggest factor. Is it's about helping others. You know, whether it's talking the recruiting process, whether it's talking about health wise, you know, it's just people helping people. And so on that note, we want to thank you for taking this time. And thank you for everyone that has hopped on here, catching the show. Please follow us, you know, on we have our Facebook, our Twitch channel, along with YouTube. Share everything. Just help us get this information out there. And so again, thank you all. We hope you all have a blessed day. And y'all be safe out there.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Darren.